There's a moment when the storm is raging and your soul feels like it's on fire, when every fiber of your being wants to scream, to shout, and to let the world feel your pain. But sometimes the strongest thing you can do is stay silent. Silence doesn't mean weakness. It doesn't mean surrender. Silence means you've risen above the chaos, mastered the storm within, and chosen peace over noise. Because sometimes words just aren't enough. 1. Be silent when your words can hurt. There comes a time when anger fills your chest like flames and disappointment crashes over you like a ruthless wave. Your instinct is to lash out, to speak words sharp enough to cut because you're hurting. But the truth is, once those words leave your mouth, there's no undoing them. They linger in the air like a toxic storm, poisoning everything around them. The damage is done. And it's done because in that heated moment, you chose to release your pain instead of understanding it. You chose to wound instead of heal. But silence in that moment is not cowardice. It's power. It's self-mastery. It's control over the fire raging inside you. Choosing silence when your words could harm is a test of your character. It's where you decide whether you'll be someone who lifts others or tears them down. The easy route is to give in to rage, to let your emotions lead the way. But the higher path demands strength. It demands maturity. It requires you to hold back that burning urge to speak and instead breathe through the pain. You must ask yourself, will what I'm about to say bring light or bring darkness? It's so easy to say things you don't mean, so easy to weaponize your voice. But real strength lies in knowing when to stay quiet. There's wisdom in restraint. Words are seeds. Whatever you plant will grow. If you plant bitterness, cruelty, and rage, that's what will bloom in others. But if you choose silence in moments of fury, you plant seeds of grace, patience, and understanding. And those seeds grow into respect, trust, and love. Silence isn't the absence of words, it's the presence of discipline. It's the art of holding back words that could cut deeper than any blade. And in that restraint, there is power. Power over yourself, over the moment, over the outcome. In today's world, everyone wants to be heard. Voices rise and clash like waves against the shore. But not every battle is won by speaking. Some of the most powerful victories come from choosing not to say anything at all, especially when your words would only add pain. There's a rare courage in holding back when every part of you wants to speak, because when you choose silence over anger, you break the cycle. You choose peace over chaos. You choose to protect rather than destroy. And that choice, it defines you. Silence in those moments is a gift you give to yourself and others. It's an act of mercy. Because there is something far more valuable than being right or winning an argument. It's being kind, even when your emotions beg you to be cruel. It's letting your silence speak of compassion instead of letting your words speak of rage. When you make that choice, you become something rare. Someone who understands true power. Yes, it's hard. It takes courage to bite your tongue when you're boiling inside. It takes wisdom to recognize your words hold the power to heal or destroy. Ask yourself, what do you want your words to do? Because what you release into the world comes back to you. Kindness returns as love. Cruelty returns as regret. And silence, when chosen wisely, returns as peace. You've got to learn to step away, to breathe, to calm your spirit before you speak. Because the harshest words are spoken in moments of anger, and once the storm passes, all you're left with is the wreckage. Broken trust, fractured relationships, pain you can't undo. There's a strength in walking away when your words would only pour gasoline on the fire. That strength separates the wise from the foolish. Choosing silence when your words could hurt isn't weakness or submission. It's awareness. It's knowing your voice isn't a weapon to be flung in fury, but a gift to be offered with love. And if you can't speak from a place of love or truth, then maybe, just maybe, it's better not to speak at all. What you say in rage may haunt you. It may cut wounds so deep they never fully heal. But what you choose not to say can be a reflection of your highest self. Silence can be a moment of clarity, a space to gather your thoughts, a pause that saves a relationship. When you respond with wisdom rather than react from pain, you don't just survive the storm, you guide others through it. Your words become meaningful, rare, powerful, because people know they're not fueled by rage, but by understanding. So the next time you feel the fire rise within you, remember this. You have a choice. to speak or to be silent, to wound or to heal. And when your words can hurt, let your silence be your strength. Let it be your wisdom. Let it be your gift to yourself and to those around you. Because holding back words that can destroy is proof that you're in control, not your emotions. That, my friend, is real power. 2. Be silent when you don't have all the facts. Sometimes the urge to speak is overwhelming. You hear a story, catch a snippet of conversation, feel a rise of emotion, and suddenly you're ready to react, ready to judge, ready to voice your opinion. But here's the thing. Words spoken from ignorance are like arrows fired blindly into the dark. They miss the truth. They strike the wrong people, and they create damage that never needed to happen. When you speak without the full story, you're not just expressing yourself. You're assuming, you're accusing, you're risking the trust that others have placed in you. There's a dangerous power in a half-truth. It can destroy reputations, end friendships, shatter lives. And most of the time, it happens because someone decided their version of the truth was good enough. They didn't wait for facts. They didn't seek clarity. They just spoke. But silence in those moments, that's not weakness. That's wisdom. It's maturity. It's the humility to say, I don't know enough to speak yet. We live in a world that celebrates fast takes, snap judgments, and loud opinions. But just because you can say something doesn't mean you should. Especially when what you know is incomplete, especially when your words might cause harm. Choosing silence isn't about hiding. It's about protecting your integrity. It's about valuing truth more than attention. It's about waiting for the full picture before you react. Imagine this. You hear a rumor about someone you love. It hits you hard. You feel betrayed. You're ready to confront them. But what if what you heard is only part of the story? What if the real truth paints a very different picture? Would your words heal, or would they destroy something you can't rebuild? In those moments, when your heart is racing and your mind is tangled with assumptions, silence becomes your ally. It gives you time. Time to listen. Time to ask. Time to understand. And understanding is everything. It's what turns conflict into conversation, confusion into clarity, hurt into healing. But you can't get there if your mouth is moving faster than your mind. 3. Be silent when you're angry and emotional. Anger is a storm that brews deep within the soul. It swirls, it rages, it makes your heartbeat thunder against your chest. And when that storm reaches its peak, the easiest thing to do is to unleash it, to let your words fly like knives, cutting through anything and anyone in their path. But here's the truth. The words you speak in anger are the words you're most likely to regret. They tear down bridges you spent years building. They leave behind scars deeper than any physical wound. And once they're spoken, there's no way to erase them. Anger distorts your vision. It makes you see betrayal where there is none. It hears disrespect in words that were meant to be kind. It transforms misunderstanding into conflict, and conflict into chaos. When you speak from that place of rage, you're not speaking from truth. You're speaking from pain, from a place that seeks to hurt more than heal. But silence gives you a moment to pause, to breathe, to regain your center before your emotions drag you down a path you'll later wish you hadn't taken. There is profound strength in silence when you're angry, a strength most people will never understand, because they mistake loudness for power. But real power, true power, is the ability to control yourself when everything inside you is screaming to erupt. It's knowing that the words you unleash in anger can become weapons you can never retract. It's the ability to hold your peace until you're calm enough to speak with intention. Choosing silence in anger isn't about suppressing how you feel. It's about giving yourself the time to process those emotions, to understand why you're hurting, why you're disappointed, why you feel the urge to lash out. And in that silence, you find clarity. You find control. You gain the power to respond instead of react. Because when you react, you throw fuel on the fire. But when you respond, you begin to put it out. You can't undo words spoken in anger. You can apologize. You can try to explain. You can even try to make things right. But those words will linger. They will echo in the minds of those you've hurt. The sad truth is, people will forget your kindness 100 times over, but they'll remember your cruelty forever. That's the cost of letting anger speak for you. That's the price of not holding your silence when it mattered most. When you choose silence in your moments of rage, you're not giving up your voice. You're refining it. You're ensuring that when you do speak, your words have weight, they have meaning. Because when you speak from calm, people listen. They hear the truth in your tone, not the poison in your fury. They respect your words because they know you chose them carefully, thoughtfully, and with purpose. Silence gives you back your power. It pulls you away from the heat of the moment and gives you space to return with clarity. It allows you to choose healing over harm, connection over conflict. And that, my friend, takes courage. It takes discipline. It takes a level of character that most never reach because they let their emotions rule their voice. But you have the power to be better than that, to be stronger than that. When you feel your emotions rising, when the fire burns in your chest, take a step back. Take a deep breath. Choose silence, not because you're weak, not because you're scared, but because you understand the power of your words, and you refuse to use that power recklessly. You refuse to be someone who speaks from rage rather than understanding. And when the storm within you settles, when the fire dims, then you can speak. Then you can share your truth in a way that heals rather than harms, in a way that builds bridges rather than burns them. That is the mark of true strength, the kind of strength that turns anger into wisdom, the kind of strength that transforms chaos into peace. So the next time that storm starts to brew inside you, remember this: silence is not your enemy, it is your ally. It is your shield against saying things you can never take back. It is your path to understanding, to growth, to healing. Choose silence when you're angry, because your voice deserves to be heard with clarity, not clouded by rage. 4. Be silent when someone else is speaking. Listening. It sounds simple, doesn't it? Yet in a world overflowing with noise and competing voices, true listening has become rare, because real listening requires more than hearing words. It demands patience. It demands humility. It demands the strength to silence your own voice long enough to truly understand someone else's. Too often, we listen not to understand, but to reply. We listen with our mouths half open, just waiting for the right moment to interject, to make a point, to defend ourselves, to prove we're right. But when we do that, we're not listening at all. We're just waiting for our turn to talk. When someone else is speaking, your silence is a sign of respect. It says, I value your thoughts. I value your experience. I value you. And in a world so desperate to be heard, that kind of respect is powerful. It's healing. It's rare. We've been taught that the loudest voice wins, that whoever talks the most holds the power. But the truth is, real power lies in the one who listens with purpose, the one who chooses silence so they can understand, not just react. When you stay silent while someone is speaking, you give them a gift, the space to be seen, to be heard, to be understood. And that's all anyone really wants, to be understood, to feel like their voice matters, to know they're not just speaking into a void. And when you give someone that space, when you offer your silence as a form of respect, you build something stronger than words. You build connection. You build trust. But many people are afraid of silence. We rush to fill the gaps, to cover the quiet, to assert ourselves before we've even grasped what's being said. In doing so, we miss the point. We miss the chance to really connect. Because when you talk over someone, you send a message. Your voice matters more than theirs. And that message can cut deeper than any insult. Being silent while someone else speaks doesn't mean you agree with everything they say. It doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're strong enough to wait. Wise enough to know that you can't understand someone if you're too busy preparing your own response. It means you respect them enough to listen, not just with your ears, but with your heart. Because words are more than sounds. They're pieces of the soul, fragments of truth. And if you're too busy trying to be heard, you'll never truly hear them. I've seen people lose friendships, relationships, even life-changing opportunities because they couldn't be silent while someone else was speaking. They were so focused on defending their view that they missed the message being offered to them. And once that moment is gone, it's hard to get it back. The trust is broken, the connection lost. There is strength in restraint, strength in being quiet long enough to truly understand what someone is trying to say. And when you master that, you become someone who doesn't just hear people, you understand them. You see their pain, their joy, their struggle. You make them feel valued. And when you finally speak, your words carry weight. They're met with respect. because you earned the right to be heard by showing the humility to listen. Listening with intention means hearing not just the words, but the feelings beneath them, the fears, the hopes, the truth hiding behind every sentence. And if you're constantly interrupting, constantly jumping in to make your point, you'll never find that truth. You'll never truly connect. But when you choose to be silent, when you honor someone else's voice, you give them the courage to share their soul. And that is a gift no amount of talking can replace. So the next time you're in a conversation, ask yourself, are you truly listening, or are you just waiting for your turn to speak? Are you giving someone the respect of your silence, or are you drowning their truth beneath the noise of your own opinions? Because when you choose to be silent while someone else is speaking, you're choosing to be better. You're choosing to understand instead of judge. You're choosing connection over conflict. And that is where real communication happens. That is where true growth begins. That is where healing takes root. Because sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is nothing at all. And when you finally do speak, your words will carry the strength of someone who has truly listened, someone who understands, someone who values the voices of others as much as their own. 5. Be silent when it's not your story to tell. There is something sacred about a person's story. It is delicate, precious, a truth that belongs to them and them alone. When someone trusts you with their story, they aren't just sharing words. They're offering you pieces of their soul, their struggles, their pain, their dreams, their scars. It's their truth laid bare before you, fragile and vulnerable. And that trust is a gift, one that must never be taken lightly. But too often, we forget. We hear someone's story, and instead of honoring the trust given to us, we turn it into gossip, into entertainment, into something to be shared rather than something to be cherished. And once those words leave our lips, we can't take them back. We can't undo the betrayal of speaking something that was never ours to speak. When someone shares their story with you, they're giving you a part of themselves, a part still healing, still trembling from old wounds. And when you speak that story without their permission, you're not just breaking their trust, you're breaking their heart. You're taking something sacred and making it cheap. You're stripping them of something that once belonged only to them. And it doesn't stop there. Because when you tell a story that's not yours, you inevitably distort it. You twist it through your own lens, your own perspective, your own bias, your incomplete understanding. What others hear isn't the pure truth. It's a tainted version, filtered through your assumptions. And that isn't fair. That isn't right. Because their story deserves to be told the way they want it told. By them, not by you. You might think you're helping. You might believe you're doing them a favor by sharing what you know. But the truth is, it's not your place. It's not your responsibility. It's not your right. Your responsibility when entrusted with someone else's story is to protect it, to hold it close, to honor the faith they placed in you by keeping their truth safe, even when you're tempted to speak, even when you think you're justified in sharing. Let me tell you something. When you betray that trust, when you speak someone's truth without consent, you're not only hurting them, you're hurting yourself. Because once you break that trust, it's nearly impossible to rebuild. The damage is done. The connection is lost. And all of it, simply because you couldn't stay silent when it mattered most. Silence in this case isn't about suppressing your voice. It's about elevating someone else's. It's about understanding the power of your words and the responsibility that comes with it. It's about respecting what isn't yours to share. Because when you choose silence in those moments, you're choosing integrity. You're choosing honor. And that choice defines the kind of person you are. Will you be the one who guards someone's truth like a priceless treasure? Or will you be the one who tosses it away for a quick laugh, for a fleeting moment of feeling important? That's a decision only you can make. But once you've made it, there's no going back. People's stories are their own, not yours, not mine. And when you respect that, you're doing more than showing kindness. You're showing empathy. You're showing that you understand what it means to be vulnerable and what it means to be trusted. And that understanding, that respect, it will earn you something far more valuable than the thrill of gossip. It will earn you real connection, real loyalty. Because those who protect the stories of others, those who know how to listen and hold space, are the ones who are truly trusted. They build relationships that last. Relationships built not just on words, but on integrity, on understanding, on honor. So the next time you're tempted to share someone else's story, remember this. If it's not your story to tell, it's not your place to speak. Choose silence. Choose respect. Be the kind of person who guards the stories of others with the same care you would want them to guard yours, because that is true strength. That is true kindness. 6. Be silent when your words will only fuel gossip. There's a darkness that lives in idle talk, a poison that spreads through careless whispers and passing comments, thrown around like they hold no weight. Gossip, it's the easiest sin to commit. It feels harmless. Just a few words over coffee, a small story shared behind someone's back, but those words, they can leave scars that never heal. Gossip is like fire. It starts small, a spark, but once it catches, it spreads faster than you can control. It consumes reputations. It destroys relationships. It leaves devastation in its wake. And the worst part, the one who started it rarely sees the damage they've done. Because by the time the truth comes out, the lies have already rooted themselves in the minds of others. What was once someone's name, someone's honor, is now ash. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is nothing. Sometimes refusing to speak is an act of mercy, an act of strength. Because the truth is, there are conversations you should never be a part of, words you should never echo. And if you choose to speak when your words only add fuel to a fire that should never have been lit, then you become part of the destruction. But silence is a stand. When you choose silence in the face of gossip, you rise above it. You choose integrity over indulgence, kindness over cruelty. And that choice, it isn't easy, because everyone wants to be included. Everyone wants to feel like they're in on the secret, like they matter. But ask yourself, is being included worth being cruel? Is feeling important worth tearing someone else down? You don't have to speak on everything you hear. You don't have to contribute to every conversation, especially not the ones built on assumptions, half-truths, jealousy, or spite. You can choose to walk away. You can choose to keep your words inside, knowing that letting them out would only cause harm. That's not weakness. That's wisdom. That's compassion. Gossip only thrives when we feed it. It only grows when we give it oxygen. And when you refuse to participate, you do more than stay silent. You take a stand. You stand for decency, for integrity, for the simple but powerful truth that your words should heal, not hurt. That your voice should lift others up, not tear them down. I've seen people destroyed by words. I've seen lives shattered by rumors that were never true. And I've seen the regret in the eyes of those who spoke too quickly, their remorse coming far too late to undo the harm they caused. And from all of that, I've learned something important. Just because you can speak doesn't mean you should. Just because you have something to say doesn't mean it needs to be heard. Your words have power. Never forget that. They can be a bomb or a balm, a blade or a bandage. So when you're faced with gossip, choose silence. Choose to use your voice with intention. Choose to be a protector, not a destroyer. Choose the higher road, the one few take, but the one that always leads to peace. There's something noble in refusing to add your voice to the noise. Something honorable about keeping your words pure, even when the world around you is drowning in negativity. Because when you choose not to engage in gossip, you're making a powerful statement. You're saying, I will not be part of something that tears others down. I will not be the reason someone else's name is dragged through the mud. And that choice makes all the difference. In a world so quick to judge, so eager to speak without thinking, the ones who choose silence when their words would only cause harm are the ones who leave a lasting impact. They are the ones who prove that true strength doesn't come from how loudly you can speak, but from how wisely you can choose not to. So the next time you find yourself in a conversation that feels wrong, remember this. You have the power to walk away. You have the power to keep your words to yourself. And in doing so, you have the power to be better, to be kinder, to be someone who uses their voice to build, not destroy. Because in the end, your silence can be the loudest statement of all. 7. Be silent when your words will make a difference to no one. Have you ever stood at the edge of an argument, your words ready to launch like arrows, your pride demanding to be heard, but deep down you knew the truth? That no matter what you said, no matter how passionately you tried to speak, it wouldn't change anything. It wouldn't heal the wound. It wouldn't bring peace. It would only add more fuel to a fire already burning out of control. Sometimes we don't speak because it will make a difference. We speak because our ego craves validation. We speak to prove a point, to defend our pride, to win an argument that was lost before it even began. But words spoken solely to satisfy our need to be right, they carry no real power, no healing, no light. They are just noise, bitter, empty noise. And when you let that noise consume you, you lose what communication is truly about. There's wisdom in recognizing when your words will fall on deaf ears, when your arguments will be met with resistance, not reflection, when the conversation isn't about truth or growth, it's about ego and stubbornness. In those moments, the greatest strength you can show is restraint. The deepest wisdom you can express is silence. Because silence, when chosen with intention, is not defeat. It's control. It's peace. It's protecting your energy from being wasted on battles that can't be won. I've seen people spend years arguing about things that didn't matter, trying to force their truth into the minds of those unwilling to listen, trying to fix what was never theirs to fix. And in the end, all they gained was exhaustion. A hollow victory that left them more broken than before. Why? Because they forgot one of life's most powerful truths. Not every conversation is worth having. Not every battle is worth fighting. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is walk away, not out of weakness, but out of wisdom. Your words are precious. Your energy is sacred. And pouring them into a void where they won't be heard or appreciated is not strength. It's surrendering your peace. When you speak just to be heard, not to be understood, you're not communicating. You're just making noise. And the world already has enough of that. There's real power in choosing silence when you know your words won't make a difference. In that silence, you reclaim your peace. You refuse to give your energy to something that will only drain you. You protect your dignity, your sanity, your heart. Because the truth is, not everyone is ready for your truth. Not everyone is capable of seeing what you see, hearing what you hear, feeling what you feel. Trying to force understanding onto someone who refuses it is like shouting into a hurricane. Your words get twisted, scattered, lost. So ask yourself, will my words make a difference? Or am I just speaking for the sake of being heard? And if the answer is no, then choose silence, choose peace, choose the strength to walk away, because sometimes the most powerful statement you can make is the one you never say. 8. Be silent when someone else is hurting. Pain is its own language. Raw, real, and louder than any words could ever be. When someone is hurting, their soul speaks in a way no conversation can fix. And sometimes, the best thing you can do is simply be there, be present, be silent. Because silence, when offered with compassion, is not absence, it's presence. The kind of presence that says, I see you, I feel your pain, I'm here. Too often we rush to fill the silence. We scramble for words that might ease their suffering. We try to fix what's broken, explain the pain, give it meaning or purpose. But in our desperate attempt to comfort, we sometimes cause more harm, because our words, no matter how well-intentioned, can feel like noise to someone already drowning. There's a sacredness in silence, a healing power in just being still, being kind, being near. Some wounds aren't meant to be healed by words. They need time, they need space. They need the quiet understanding of someone who knows that healing is a journey, not a quick fix. When you try to fill the silence, you risk minimizing their pain. You risk making them feel like their suffering is something that needs to be solved, rather than something that deserves to be felt. Because the truth is, sometimes the most powerful thing you can do for someone in pain is let them hurt. Let them feel. Let them sit with their grief in their own time and in their own way. Silence in these moments isn't indifference. It isn't avoidance. It's empathy. It's the willingness to sit in the dark with someone rather than drag them into the light before they're ready. It's resisting the urge to fix, to heal, to say, it's going to be okay, and instead saying with your presence, you don't have to go through this alone. I've seen people try to comfort others with words when all they really needed was silence, a hand to hold, a presence to lean on, no judgment, no advice, just love, quiet, strong, unwavering. And I've seen how that kind of silence heals in ways that words never could. Being silent when someone else is hurting is a gift. It gives them space to speak if they choose to. It gives them room to feel, to process, to be, without interruption, without pressure. It validates their pain without trying to shrink it. And that is one of the most powerful forms of support you can offer. Because there are times when your desire to speak is not about their healing, but about your own discomfort with their pain. And if you truly want to be there for someone who's hurting, then be there, be still, be silent, and let your presence speak louder than words ever could. You have to be willing to set aside your own discomfort. You have to find the strength to sit in silence, to allow them to feel, to let them heal in their own time. Because healing isn't something you can hand to someone. It's not something you can rush with advice or fix with comforting phrases. It's something they have to uncover for themselves. And sometimes the most powerful way you can support them is by saying nothing, by giving them space to feel, and reminding them through your presence that even in their darkest hour, they're not alone. So if someone you care about is hurting, remember this: your words may not be what they need. Your presence, your stillness, your quiet strength, that might be everything. Choosing silence over hollow reassurance isn't weakness. It's grace, it's patience, it's love in one of its most genuine forms. And sometimes that's exactly what they need to begin finding their way back to the light. 9. Be silent when it's time to hear your own heart. There's a voice within you. It's been whispering your entire life, soft, steady, and honest. It knows your passions, your fears, your longings. It's the voice of your own heart. But far too often that voice is drowned beneath the noise of the world's expectations, the pressure of daily life, and the constant commentary from people who think they know what's best for you. But there comes a moment when you must turn down the volume of everything around you, a moment when you must listen inward to what your heart has been trying to say all along. Because within that stillness lies a wisdom no one else can give you, a truth that is yours alone. And if you never take the time to hear it, you may never fully know who you are or what you're truly meant to do. Others will try to steer you off course. They'll say your dreams are unrealistic, your path too risky, your goals unreachable. And if their voices grow louder than your own, you may end up living a life that doesn't belong to you, a life built on their fears instead of your vision. A life that leaves you feeling unfulfilled, no matter how hard you try to make it feel right. But when you choose to go quiet, when you intentionally tune out the noise and turn your attention inward, that's when clarity comes. That's when your direction reveals itself. That's when you begin to remember who you were before the world told you who to be. And that kind of truth, that kind of peace is priceless because it's yours, because it's real. Listening to your heart is not simple. It's uncomfortable. It's disruptive because it will lead you toward change. It will challenge you to face fears, to walk away from comfort, to take leaps into the unknown. And yes, that's scary, but it's also where transformation begins, because nothing worth achieving, nothing worth becoming, was ever reached by playing small or staying silent. Your greatest struggles won't be with the world. They'll be with yourself, with your fears, with your doubts, with the part of you that wants to stay safe. But you can overcome those battles if you listen to your own voice, if you trust your inner guidance, even when the road ahead feels uncertain. Because your heart always knows. Even when your mind is clouded, even when others try to redirect you, that inner voice remains constant. And silence is the space where that voice gets louder. Silence is where your truth rises. But you have to make room for it. You have to step back from the noise, carve out a quiet place where the world can't reach you, and reconnect with the rhythm of your own soul. People will doubt you. They'll question your path. But that's okay. Their opinions don't define you. What matters most is what you believe, what you feel deep within. That feeling, that inner knowing is your truth. And it will always be stronger than the noise of doubt around you. So take the time to be still. Take the time to listen, not to the world, but to yourself. Listen to the voice that reminds you of your purpose, that calls you toward your dreams, that tells you again and again who you truly are, because that voice is your compass. And if you follow it, it will lead you to the life you were always meant to live. Don't fear the silence. Welcome it. Let it clear the confusion. Let it uncover the truth that's been waiting for you all along. Because once you do, once you truly hear your heart, you become unstoppable. You become who you were always meant to be. As we close this journey, take a moment to reflect on the quiet strength that lives within you. Silence is not weakness. It is restraint wrapped in courage. It's the choice to hold your tongue when speaking would cause harm. It's the wisdom to pause when emotions are high. It's the discipline to wait when you don't know the full story, and the grace to stay still when someone else needs to speak their truth. Silence is standing firm when gossip tempts you. It's knowing when your voice won't be heard, and choosing not to waste your energy. It's understanding that not every moment deserves your reaction. Not every battle deserves your breath. It's also the compassion to sit with someone in pain without rushing to fix them, to be present, to be steady, to say nothing because your presence says everything. And most importantly, silence is the sacred space where your own voice can rise, where your purpose is remembered, where your clarity is restored. Mastering silence is not about hiding who you are. It's about honoring what matters. It's about choosing when to speak and when not to. It's about knowing that the most impactful words are the ones spoken with care, with intention, and with love. So I invite you, embrace the power of silence. Let it be your strength. Let it be your guide. Let it be your protection. Because sometimes the most powerful message you can send is in the words you choose not to say. Thank you for walking this journey with me. Thank you for listening with your heart. May your silence speak louder than the world's noise. May it lead you to peace, purpose, and a life filled with truth. God bless you and take care. And